traditionally run a lot higher than that of the average or the norm. With that, we have Local 55 John Blyden, who's prepared to provide opportunities for our community through a training process to where once the jobs come in, of which we have we've already identified certain projects is going to be taking place, our people will be prepared to transition right into those. John, I want to welcome you to the Herman Holloway live show once again. Okay. And if you can, I want to talk to you a little bit about last week. Just we can recap from what took place last Sunday. Okay. And then talk about what we've done this week in association with the King Center.
Okay. Well, Jeff, thanks, and thank Mr. Holloway for having me back on. Last week we had overwhelming support from the program. I believe in 2 days we conducted about 97 interviews.
Great.
And actually, right from the interview, a gentleman was able to actually go onto a job site because I received a request. Out of those 97, we was able to identify 13 people that we're able to move forward. So next week, they're gonna probably get they're gonna go through the drug testing phase. We're gonna do some lead renovator. We're gonna do some OSHA training. Nice. And then after that, most of those individuals will go out to work.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you did about a little over 90 interviews. That was in 2 days.
2 days.
Now, we still have the lines open, and people are still calling in to the King Center to make sure that they can still get on the roster. What about those who aren't quite ready yet to be trained for that short period of time, I believe, that you guys have? What can we do for them?
Well, first, I think it's important to identify the skill set that we have in our communities, identify those that want to go through the whole training process and meet them where they're at. So I think this is a good exercise that we're doing, because first we're identifying, first of all, who want to go to work, and then take them through that process, because the thing I hear all the time is people in our community don't want to go to work. So we're going to dispel that notion, and we're going to meet folks where they're at. Some may very well have to get some soft skills. Some may have to, some of the trainings you're going to need a GED or diploma just because of the information that we're going to disperse. So I think having this database, meeting folks where they're at, and then after that interview, we'll kind of have an idea what steps we need to take next.
John, you mentioned something just now. You said soft skills. What does that mean, soft skills?
Well, I tell you, sometimes just this week when we conducted interviews, you had a few folks come in with their pants down, and while we're talking, they're cursing, and they think they think that's cool. So I think we'll have that conversation, and those folks that need that kind of training, sensitivity, preparedness, we'll have a program set up to get them ready to go in the work field.
Right. I think the King Center, we're prepared to begin that process as well, just to assist you guys in making sure that these guys get the employment that they also need. Hey, John, let's talk a little bit about Local 55.
Okay.
How did Local 55 become in existence?
Good question. About 5 years ago, my organization, which is the Laborers International Union of North America, you would know Local 199 here in Delaware, okay, which is part of the building trades. Well, the building trades mostly handle large commercial construction, schools, highway work. However, my organization, the Laborers Union, 5 years ago looked at the housing market. And at that time, the housing market represented 51% of the market. And we realized we wasn't in that market. So we sat down, we wanted to talk to some different trades. At that time, they wasn't interested in going after the smaller work. So Local 55 was created to go after residential, light commercial, and now weatherization work.
Wow, okay. You mentioned you finished that up with weatherization. Can you talk a little bit about the history of weatherization within the state and where it's going now?
Well, we had a few spokespeople here last week. You had a big supporter, and Senator Harris McDowell,
right.
The Secretary, Colin O'Mara.
Great.
Those are the guys that's on the cutting edge of this. But from the grassroots level, Local 55, from the very beginning, was told we was going to have a major role in the weatherization and the training aspect, okay, and placement. We trained 60 folks, and our training was a comprehensive 5 weeks training.
Right.
We had some soft skills, we had some light carpentry, we covered the whole gamut. However, while we was training, you had other programs that was ramming people through a 1-week training.
Okay.
So while our folks was training, other people was working.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
And because of that, some of the work wasn't done right, and ultimately the program was shut down. So really, 55 didn't really get a chance to have the kind of impact we intended because of the stoppage.
Because they short-circuited the process.
Yes.
One of the things I realized too, from Local 55, you guys provide the talent.
Yeah.
How are we going to get the contractors involved who then can get the actual jobs, continue the process of getting jobs so that they can hire the staff that you guys are training? What's the process for that? Because I'm a Local 55 contractor. I'll just put that out for all things clear. But how is that process materializing now?
Well, that's still a work in process. My first thought was through the stimulus, through weatherization, you know, I thought it was a good idea to reach out to small minority contractors.
Okay.
What I didn't realize at the time is there was there's some hurdles there.
Yeah.
Many of the contractors didn't have the capacity to take on state jobs.
Sure.
They didn't have the estimators. They didn't have the bonding. Some of them probably needed some support in business development skills. So because I reached out to that group first, it kind of made the traction of 55 a little harder because I didn't realize at the time, you know, there was those issues.
Those challenges.
Yes.
Well, one of the things I realized too, from a bonding perspective and even from an employment perspective, once federal contracts are awarded to various agencies, whether it be HUD or mental health, or housing, mental health services, there's requirements in that contract that will suggest they have to employ X amount of minorities, X amount of minority businesses. It's almost like a minority percentage of a minority percentage. How are we monitoring that? Where are the checks and balances? Is there any checks and balances for that, in your opinion?
I don't know yet. All I'm doing right now is just making sure we have the people trained and ready to take advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
I'm working with the contractors that see value in the trained workforce. Because you have some contractors, they want to go the low roadway, they want to go pay under the table and violate, you know, prevailing wages. So those are not the guys we want to partner out with.
Right.
So right now, I think what I want to focus on is getting the skill level up of our folks in the community, find some responsible contractors, and then we'll put the strategy to go after the work. Now, if the laws like Section 3 isn't being enforced, I think it's the role of the community to bring this out. Now, I got to say, Lorraine from the city, and they got some really, really tough laws out on the books to really monitor this stuff. So I think we just got to make the claims.
Okay, so we have to do our homework.
Absolutely.
We have to make sure that we help them enforce what they intended to enforce in the first place.
Absolutely.
I know that we have several folks in our community, religious leaders, political leaders, even business leaders, that all want to do the same thing, but the biggest problem we've always had is that nobody primarily is taking ownership of it. And it always goes back to something Herm always talks about is leadership, leadership, leadership. You know, you got some folks who are afraid of the scrutiny that they would get. You got other folks who don't want some of the past experiences they've had to be crystallized, focused upon. But it's like the more we realize we don't want to do something, the more our entire community is failing. How do you think we can motivate certain folks to step up to the plate and say, you know what, the past is just that. We need to move forward. I was reading an interesting stat yesterday. We represent 12% of the population. 39% of us are been arrested for drugs. 59% of that 39% have been sent to federal prisons. 74% of those are still in prison today. Yet we represent 12% of the entire population. 20 years ago, we had 500,000 people incarcerated. Now we have 2.3 million. Everything seems to be focused upon employment and the things that employment can bring upon. I mean, you've been in the trades for quite some time. How do you motivate your folks on the union side to say, you know, we need to become more aggressive about the issues and the situations that are occurring in our communities? I know you can't do it for the whole union, I realize that, but as an offshoot of another union and a bigger international union, LIUNA, What are the strategies in place that you're aware of that's going to assist in that process of trying to squash some of the issues going on here?
Well, I see it as an uphill battle, but I think I am living testament. I came from a troubled past, made a mistake, and because I was able to earn a living wage, a job with dignity and respect, I've been able to support my family, and it's so exciting because next year my oldest daughter, will be going to college.
Oh, man.
So I'm living testimony that it can be done.
Okay.
Now, I think as far as my organization, when you look at the laborers union,
yes,
you look at the brothers that work on the dock,
right,
we represent the largest, in my opinion, the largest middle class for minority workers in the city.
Okay.
So it just happened that now that 55, this is a new local, we may have opportunities for growth. So why not go and look for those growths in our community?
Sure, absolutely. I just know that what we're talking about is not trying to recreate the wheel.
Absolutely.
What I think we really want to do is add so much grease to this wheel that it almost falls off the cart. Because it's again, we're not talking about anything new.
Right.
No, we have a community of folks who are very aware of what's going on, but nobody's finding a way to come together and say, look, this is what we're going to do. Imagine, from a political perspective, imagine if we got together from the churches in our community, say Southbridge, for example, and said, this is the agenda we want to deal with. I think we might have a little change.
I'm willing to go down that road with you. I tell you the challenge that I've seen. Through the stimulus, you'll see training programs come out of everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing training. And sometimes I question the level of training.
Okay.
But the thing that I really question is the training, and then there's no jobs connected. You see, the difference with 55, we'll train the whole community as long as there's jobs connected.
Right, right.
And the way we connect those jobs is through our contractors, through helping them politically, helping them with market development, and then we can kind of forecast, okay, we'll train 25 people based on a forecast of 25 jobs.
Got you. Where have you guys had the most success at in terms of the type of jobs you've been providing?
Right now, the opportunities are in the weatherization.
Okay.
I think now we're getting ready to pivot out of the weatherization and probably start focusing on that, a little bit of housing authority work. We had meetings with the mayor and real estate and housing.
Okay.
There may be some opportunities there.
Right.
Again, the opportunities are basically dictated on the type of work our contractors can go after.
I see. So it's the contractors that will primarily secure the work with the contacts coming from Local 55 and others.
Yes.
But it's the contractors that will secure it, and then Local 55 will supply the manpower to achieve the goals of that contract.
Correct.
That's great. I know that we've been working with Local 55, the King Center in particular. We've been working with Local 55 on this new initiative, and John talked a moment ago about soft skills. Soft skills are very, very important to master because they're soft, which means it's not a difficult process to achieve. We at the King Center are developing plans and processes and procedures so that we can address that issue immediately. We don't want John to have to train them on OSHA, train them on other technical things if they don't have the soft skills to where they can at least get to John. If they can't get to John, John can't help them. So that's where the King Center is going to get involved, heavily involved, with trying to solicit processes so we can help anybody who comes to the King Center so that John can then take it from us and then move forward with the process. One of the things, John, I remember we talked about before was how we can attract larger contractors to Local 55 as a contract manager, bigger ones who can finance some of the jobs that we're trying to achieve so that it'll make it easier for you to get them the workforce. Do we have a group of folks who are interested right now to become large contractors with Local 55 for like investors and stuff of that nature?
Yes, there's plenty of opportunities there.
Okay.
Actually, that's where I've been putting the bulk of my time, trying to identify the contractors that can bid on these large jobs, that have the resources, and actually these contractors find 55 quite useful because they understand that Section 3 is a requirement that the city is really going to be enforcing, and who else better knows the community and than 55?
Yeah.
You know, so there's some opportunities there, but it's a steady work in progress.
Yeah, I just can't wait. I know you've been working on this for quite some time. You, another organization that was started putting in at least another year prior to even bringing it to public. I am just excited about the process, being a part of it. I think that the more of us we get involved to take responsibility for it, the better it's going to be. I think it's easy for us to sit back and say they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that, but it has a little bit more bottom if you're in the community trying to get it done and realizing for yourself, hey, these guys really want to work. They've made some bad decisions, of which we all have. Lord knows I've made some bad decisions. But I remember when I was in college, my professor told me that if out of all the decisions you make in your life, if 25% of those decisions are good, you'll have a successful life. I think I should have a successful life, because 75% of them have been challenged. You know? I mean, even right now, for example. But hey, John, I'm glad that you took time out of your day to come and join us. We really wanted to talk, and we're going to delve into this a little bit deeper the next time we get together. Hopefully, it'll be next week or the week following. I know Herman is out of town right now enjoying some R&R that he definitely deserves. He's probably telling somebody off right now or trying to get them to understand his point of view, which Herman he has a heart of gold. Herman has a heart of gold. And one thing about Herman, you can't say he stutters. He'll say what's on his mind. He'll support you if he finds that what you're doing has value, and he'll leave you alone if he thinks that you have that stinking thinking, is what he calls it. You know, so again, I'm just glad that you're here, brother. I think that once we can bring in more of us involved, I'm not from the city of Wilmington, but I spent a lot of time here. I am just excited about progress. One of the things that Herman and I talk a lot about is how we can avoid stagnation. And I think helping people develop, improve, that's one of the sure shot ways to make sure we don't fall into a situation of stagnation. We got a lot of community leaders. We got a lot of institutions within our community. I just look forward to all of us working together one day and saying enough is enough is enough. Until then, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. That's right. You know, you and I talked today, enjoyed the conversation, but we're not recreating the wheel.
No, we're not.
We're just going to grease it up, and grease it up. Finally, John, if there's anything else you want to say real quick, buddy?
It's not going to be easy, but 55 is here for the long haul. We're not going away, and it's just refreshing when you have organizations like the King Center, you have Herman Holloway, that just don't want to talk the talk. You know, he want to roll up his sleeves and get involved. So just this past week, it was exciting to see that he's engaged.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely. Yeah, Herm's he's one of them brothers, and he's been around for a little while. He knows the process and the system extremely well. Now he articulates it in a different way to where people tend to step back every once in a while without really listening to what he has to say. Right. But you got other people who knows Herman very well and appreciates what he does. Our phone rings constantly. You know, the Martin Luther King Center is actually the Martin Luther King Last Chance and Referral Center, which means whenever if you go to any other agency and you can't get things done, that's when our phones start ringing. And I can tell you, being there for a few years now, we really have helped out people. We haven't helped out everybody. We have a limited budget, but we have really tried to help out. Again, John, thanks.
Thank you.
I was hoping to next time have a couple of other guys from the trades background, because this seems to be one of the things we can gravitate and hold on to. I know that at one point, the weatherization process, I think we was getting about $500,000 a year. And now since Vice President Blyden's there, we got about $13 million for 3 years.
Correct.
So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there, and a lot of this, I look at this as an opportunity for people to learn. Get paid while you're learning what you're doing, because once these funds is over, it's not saying they won't exist anymore, but now you have a trade. Now you can do other things that's outside of the weatherization process. So I'm just glad. I'm just happy as I can be. Again, I'm just hoping everyone had a great opportunity to hear what we were talking about today. Local 55 being represented distinguishedly by John Blyden. If there are any questions to anyone, please feel free in contacting the King Center. We have a 24-hour hotline. Anytime you call, your calls will be returned. We have a website, kingcenter@verizon.net. We also have a Facebook page. Take a look at us on Facebook and like us. We like you. And again, I just want to thank Adrienne. Congratulations to you once again. Her mom, Monica, you are the best. I wish the best for Adrienne, as I know she's going to do the best she can at Stanford. She's going into genetic counseling, and it's not every school in the union offers that. So she's going there. It's a big step for her, huge step for her. But I think that she's equipped to do it and do it well. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you again for joining us. Happy Sunday to you. We hope your places are nice and dry. Take care.